Now let's go step by step, and I'll explain why each of these walking strategies actually works. Before we get into the techniques, it's important to understand one simple thing about belly fat. There are two main types. One is the fat you can pinch under the skin. The other is visceral fat, which sits deeper and wraps around your internal organs. Visceral fat is the one linked to insulin resistance, inflammation, heart disease, and diabetes. It's also the type people struggle the most to lose. Here's the part most people don't hear often enough. Visceral fat actually responds very well to walking. When you walk, your body releases hormones like adrenaline and noradrenaline. These hormones send a signal to fat cells to release stored fat, so your muscles can use it for energy. Visceral fat has better blood flow and more receptors that respond to those signals. So when you walk at the right intensity and at the right time, your body can access visceral fat more easily than other types of fat. That's why steady, consistent walking shows up again and again in research as effective for reducing belly fat, even when the scale doesn't change much at first. If you've noticed your clothes fitting better or your waist shrinking before your weight drops, this is often the reason. Let's start with the easiest walking hack, because this one surprises people. Think about what happens the moment you eat. Your blood sugar goes up. That's normal. To handle that rise, your body releases insulin to move sugar out of the blood and into your cells. Here's the problem. The higher and longer that blood sugar spike lasts, the more insulin your body has to release. And insulin is a storage hormone. When insulin is high, fat burning slows down. So if you eat and then sit for a long time, your body stays in a higher insulin state, and that makes it easier to store fat, especially around the belly. Now here's the simple fix, and this is backed by research. Instead of sitting right after you eat, stand up and walk. Not exercise, not speed walking, just walking. Even 2 minutes helps. 5 to 10 minutes works even better. When you walk after a meal, your muscles start pulling glucose directly out of the bloodstream to use for energy. That means your blood sugar doesn't rise as high, and your body doesn't need to release as much insulin. Studies have shown that short walks right after meals can lower post-meal blood sugar spikes by about 20 to 30%. And that's with very small amounts of movement. Less insulin means less fat storage, fewer cravings later, and more stable energy. This is especially helpful after dinner, because that's the meal where most people eat and then sit for hours. A short walk after dinner can make a noticeable difference over time. And the best part is how easy this is to do. You don't need a schedule, you don't need special clothes, you don't even need a full walk around the block. You can walk around your house, walk while you're on the phone, walk while you clean up. If you do nothing else from this video and just build this one habit, it can already change how your body handles food and fat storage. And that's why this is where I like people to start. Now that we've talked about walking after meals, let's talk about hack number 2, because this one is all about timing. When you wake up in the morning, your body is in a very different metabolic state than it is later in the day. You haven't eaten for hours, insulin levels are low, and your body is already set up to use fat for energy. The moment you eat, insulin rises, and that fat-burning window starts to close. That doesn't mean breakfast is bad, it just means when you move matters. So here's the idea behind this hack. Before your first meal of the day, go for a short walk. This doesn't need to be long. 10 to 20 minutes at a comfortable pace is enough. You should be able to talk in full sentences while you're walking. At this time of day, your body relies more on fat for fuel because insulin is low and stored sugar is already partly used up. Research shows that aerobic activity done in a fasted state leads to greater fat oxidation compared to the same activity done after eating. When this is done consistently, it's associated with better reductions in visceral fat, especially when combined with overall healthy eating. There's another benefit people don't usually think about. Walking in the morning, especially outside, helps reset your internal clock. That improves sleep quality, appetite control, and insulin sensitivity later in the day. So how do you actually do this in real life? You wake up, you get dressed, you walk, water is fine, black coffee is fine if you tolerate it, no workout, no pressure. You're not doing this to burn the most calories, you're doing it to send the right metabolic signal, and over time that signal adds up. Now that we've talked about timing, let's talk about hack number 3, because this one is about how you walk, not how long you walk. Now pause for a second because this next part is important. Up to this point, we've talked about when to walk, but now I want to talk about how to walk when you really want results. There's a walking method that came out of Japan that I haven't mentioned yet, and it's one of the most studied walking techniques for fat loss and metabolic health. Most people have never heard of it, and most fitness influencers don't talk about it because it doesn't look impressive. But the results are very real. It's called Japanese interval walking. Here's how it works. You walk at a faster pace for 3 minutes, not running, just fast enough that your breathing picks up. Then you slow down and walk comfortably for 3 minutes. You repeat that cycle for about 30 minutes. That's it. In the original Japanese studies, people who walked this way lost more body fat, improved insulin sensitivity, lowered blood pressure, and improved cardiorespiratory fitness compared to people who walked at a steady pace for the same amount of time, same walking time. Very different results. The reason this works is because your heart rate goes up, then comes back down over and over. That trains your body to switch between fuel sources more efficiently, especially fat. And that flexibility is exactly what people with stubborn belly fat and insulin resistance are missing. If 3 minutes feels like too much at first, you don't skip this. You scale it. You can do 1 minute faster and 2 minutes slower. The benefit comes from changing pace, not from pushing yourself. This is one of the most efficient ways to upgrade walking without running, without hurting your joints, and without adding more time. And now that you understand this method, let's talk more generally about how changing pace affects fat burning. Most people think walking only works if you go longer or faster, but what actually makes a difference is changing your pace. When you walk at one steady speed the entire time, your body adapts very quickly. It becomes efficient, which sounds good, but it also means you stop getting much of a metabolic response. This is where interval walking comes in. Interval walking simply means alternating between a faster walk and a slower recovery walk. Here's an easy way to do it. You walk at a brisk pace for 2 to 3 minutes, not running, just faster than your normal walk. Then you slow down and recover for 2 to 3 minutes. You repeat that cycle for 20 to 30 minutes. What's happening during this is important. When your heart rate goes up and then comes back down, your body responds by improving insulin sensitivity and increasing overall energy use. You also get what's called an afterburn effect, where your metabolism stays slightly elevated even after the walk is over. Research has shown that people who use interval walking lose more body fat and improve cardiovascular fitness more than people who walk at a steady pace for the same amount of time. One well-known method studied in Japan used 3 minutes of faster walking, followed by 3 minutes of slower walking, repeated over a 30-minute walk. Participants saw greater reductions in body fat, blood pressure, and insulin resistance compared to steady walking. If 2 or 3 minutes feels like too much at first, that's fine. You can start with 1 minute faster and 2 minutes slower. The exact timing matters less than the change in pace. The key point is this: you don't need more time, you don't need harder workouts, you just need to give your body a reason to adapt. And changing your pace does exactly that. Now let's talk about hack number 4, because this one gives you more results without walking longer. If someone tells me they're already walking regularly but not seeing changes, this is one of the first adjustments I look at. Adding incline changes everything. When you walk uphill, your body has to work harder with every step. Your glutes, hamstrings, calves, and core all get involved more than they do on flat ground. That increases energy demand without increasing speed or time. Even a small incline makes a difference. A mild hill outside or a low incline on a treadmill is enough. Research shows that walking on a 5% incline can increase calorie burn by more than 50% compared to flat walking. At higher inclines, the energy demand goes up even more. Here's something people don't expect. Walking uphill actually puts less stress on the knees than running on flat ground. The load shifts away from the knee joint and more toward the hips and posterior muscles. That's why incline walking is often better tolerated by people with knee pain or joint concerns. So how do you actually do this? If you're outside, choose a route with gentle hills. You don't need steep climbs. If you're on a treadmill, set a small incline and keep your normal walking pace. You should still be able to talk. You're not trying to turn this into a workout class. You're just changing the signal your body receives. And over time, that change adds up. Now that we've talked about when you walk, how you walk, and where you walk, let's talk about hack number 5, because this one explains the pace that actually burns fat most efficiently. A lot of people assume that the harder you push, the more fat you burn. With walking, that's not always true. There's a specific intensity where your body burns the highest percentage of fat for fuel. This is often called zone 2. You don't need a heart rate monitor to find it. The simplest way is something called the talk test. When you're walking in this zone, you should be able to speak in full sentences, but you wouldn't be able to sing. If you can sing easily, it's probably too easy. If you're gasping for air, it's too hard. This pace matters because of how your body produces energy. At moderate intensity, your muscles rely more on fat oxidation rather than quick sugar burning. Over time, walking in this zone improves how efficiently your body uses fat and how well it handles blood sugar. Research shows that regular zone 2 activity increases mitochondrial density. Those mitochondria are basically the engines inside your cells that turn fat into usable energy. The more efficient those engines become, the easier fat loss feels over time. This pace also has another benefit. It doesn't overly stress your system. That means you recover faster, you can do it more often, and you're more likely to stay consistent. So how do you use this in real life? Most of your walks should live in this zone. Not every walk needs to be intense. This becomes your default pace. You can still layer the other hacks on top of it. You can do zone 2, walking after meals. You can do it during fasted morning walks. You can do it on an incline. Think of this as the foundation that makes all the other walking hacks work better. Now let's talk about hack number 6, because this one has nothing to do with speed, distance, or time. It has to do with stress, and this part is often overlooked. Stress hormones play a bigger role in belly fat than most people realize. When stress is high, your body releases cortisol. Cortisol signals your body to hold onto energy, especially around the abdomen. So even if you're walking regularly, high stress can blunt fat loss. Here's where walking location matters. Studies have shown that walking in green or quieter environments lowers cortisol levels more than walking in busy, noisy settings. Heart rate comes down. The nervous system shifts into a calmer state. What's interesting is that the pace and distance don't have to change. You're walking the same amount, but your hormonal response is different. That's why many people notice they feel better after a walk in a park or on a trail compared to a walk next to traffic. You don't need a forest or mountains. A park, a trail, or even a quiet neighborhood street works. If you have the option, choose environments that feel calmer. That small shift can make walking more effective for belly fat over time. So how do you use this in real life? You don't need a forest or mountains. A park, a trail, or even a quiet neighborhood street works. If you have the option, choose environments that feel calmer. That small shift can make walking more effective for belly fat over time. Now let's move into hack number 7, because this one is a powerful multiplier when done correctly. Hack 7 is called rucking. All rucking means is walking while carrying a small amount of extra weight, usually in a backpack. You don't need much weight to get the benefit. About 5 to 10% of your body weight is enough to start. Adding weight increases muscle engagement in the legs, core, and posture muscles. Your heart rate rises slightly, and your calorie burn increases without needing to walk faster or longer. Research and military training data show that rucking can significantly increase energy expenditure compared to normal walking while still being low impact. Another benefit people don't expect is bone strength. Carrying load sends signals that support bone density, which becomes more important as we get older. The most important part of rucking is posture. Stand tall. Keep your chest open. Engage your core. If the weight pulls you forward or makes you hunch, it's too heavy. So how do you start? Use a backpack. Add a few water bottles or light weights. Walk your normal route at your normal pace. No rushing, no forcing. You're simply adding a stronger signal to the same walk you're already doing. Walking isn't slow or ineffective. It's only ineffective when it's done without intention. When you combine timing, pace, incline, stress reduction, and light load, walking becomes a very powerful tool for reducing belly fat and improving metabolic health. If this video helped you understand how to walk smarter instead of harder, like the video so more people can find it. Subscribe if you want more clear, evidence-based explanations like this, and share it with someone who's walking every day but not seeing the results they expect. Your body responds to signals. Change the signal, and the response changes.